Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome back to the anime review. Today we're looking at UQ Holder episode 9. Did I tell you guys that this was a harem? Like, I think many people might have been surprised by this week's episode seeing the harem elements. But first off, this is Ken, creator of Love Hina that we're talking about here. He has always made, to my knowledge, a harem story. So this is not surprising to me. And, obviously, as I told many of you guys, I've read a decent amount of the manga, so I knew this was coming. But this was one of my favorite parts, because it's the start, really, of the harem elements. This is just the iceberg now, the tip of it. Because we're going to start getting this way more, especially when more girls are introduced to the story. They're going to be all clamoring for Tota. It's just going to be funny. It really is going to help out. But I'll tell you, certain characters will always fight for him, and then others will only do like what Karen does, where she tries to inflict more harm on him than anything else. And that comes in the form of using a deck broom to rub his back, wash his back. I don't know if you guys know, but a deck broom hurts like hell. I'm not kidding. I had a pool party that I went to that one of my friends had one of those for his deck, and he scratched it across my back. It hurts. It really does, because it's meant to go through and clean a deck properly. So yeah, it's not very pleasant. I'll tell you that right now. So I was wincing for Tota when she's rubbing his back, because the whole goal is to get that 50 times to do that. And what was funny was Yukihime ends up being the one that ultimately does it and rubs his back 50 times for reasons of she just wants to do it. But really that was the main crux though. Outside of that, the main crux was to have some past issues kind of arise, and also to show up with some of these new characters. But I love that basically Yukihime was talking about her past with one of the characters from the original Negima, the blonde-haired rich girl, who I loved from the series. I thought she was one of my favorites back then. The fact that she was always clamoring for Negi's affection and stuff like that was just great. And it was cool to see her back, even though she's now super old. But she held her Pacto card and she goes, "I hope I'm still welcome here, because it usually gets me everywhere I need to go." I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's her original card. And in case you guys don't know, that those Pacto cards were made by when Negi kissed one of the girls. It would actually make it so they were essentially usable to him, not as cards, mind you, but he can activate their powers, or they can activate their powers whenever need be, and use it to increase their strength or give them weapons, etc. So it was kind of cool to see that. I was very happy to see that. But in general, you get to learn about the obvious relationship between Negi and Yukihime, where she did love him truly, and that's obvious if you read Negima. But if you did not read it, it's a little bit lost. And this is where I was saying that I was wondering how far the series would go that you would need to watch Negima, or read Negima at least. So we're starting to get to the crux of it, where they're starting to show characters a lot more from the original series, and that's why I tell people it's kind of this is why I warned people originally that you don't need to watch or read Negima in the beginning, but eventually it does help, because there are characters and stuff that appear later on. But I still love this episode. I think that most people will still like it, even if you really haven't, because they showed enough of the past in this week's episode to kind of give you a kind of rundown of who these characters are, without spoiling or slamming in your face the story, which I thought was a good way of doing it. So I really think that this episode was solid, and I really loved it. What did you guys think about it? What did you think about the whole girl battle thing? I would love to know your comments in the comments below. As always, guys and girls, if you like this review, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video around, go to check my Patreon for various rewards, and I will talk to you guys later in my next review, which should be for tonight, Fate Apocrypha episode 22. Bye bye, guys.